Good morning, everybody. How are you today? How is your Sunday morning going? I hope your weekend has so far been fantastic. I've been out the door doing lots of demos, and today I thought I would show you hot cross buns because would you believe Easter is only a month away. How fast does that come up? Right, so hang on a second, guys. There we go. For some reason, the live program wants to keep putting up things in front. So, hot cross buns it is. Now, you can make these as per the recipe, and they're going to turn out great. Want to make them a little bit Lisa style, and they will come out better than great. Okay, so I'm going to teach you today my tips and tricks to make amazing ones that are like store-bought ones. So watch this space, come along for the ride this morning. I also want to just point out as well that today's end of month, so that means there's a deal ending. This month when you're buying a Thermomix, you're actually getting a freebie. You're getting a 2.6 litre thermoserver. Now I'm going to use mine today to prove dough. So watch along, I'll show you how to prove the dough. I'm going to give you lots of hints and tips today. Can't wait to see you guys make your own hot cross buns and share the photos with me. So what I've done already to get started is, because I hadn't actually, when I started this morning, decided I was going to do it as a live. So I started cooking and then I went, oh, you know what, I probably should do a live today. So I stopped and then I got everything organised and got sorted. So what I've done already this morning, if I just scroll down, the very first step calls for you to put some lemon zest or orange zest into the Thermomix. Don't do it. Okay? I don't know, they taste like scones or something. I don't know, they're not right. Leave the zest out. That's my opinion, okay? If you're a zest loving person, put it in the chat, I'd love to know. Okay, so it says here, half a lemon or 1 lime, zest only, no white. Okay, and then you put 100 grams of flour in it to mill it down. So the flour is a carrying product, because if you just put the zest in there, it's going to sweat and stick to the sides of the bowl. So by putting in the 100 grams of baker's flour, it gives it something to move with. It dries out that sweat and it will chop it down to beautiful and fine. Okay, so if you do want zest, there's the tip for that. Okay, normally it would zest it down. Okay, transfer to a bowl and set aside. Okay, here we go. 250 grams of full milk powder. Full milk cream. No, hang on. Full milk. Full cream milk. Oh my gosh. I've had 2 coffees already this morning, guys. I should be able to read. So we don't have milk in our house very often, and we don't have any full cream milk at the moment. But what we do always have is milk powder, because we'll often use it to make yogurt. So where is my milk powder? Here it is. Just whatever brand. I don't get skim. Okay, I get full cream milk powder. I find skim doesn't work very well anyway. And the trick with knowing how much milk powder, because we're working in weight, is you want 1 to 3. So for 250 grams, I put in 70 grams of milk powder and 210 grams of water. Okay, so 70 to 210 gets you pretty close to the full cup. So if you're wanting to know that, that's 1 to 3 for your milk powder ratio. If you're like me and you don't have full cream milk in the fridge, if you got full cream milk in the fridge, in it goes, happy days. All right. Okay, then it wants 1 tablespoon of your dried yeast out of your fridge or freezer. Okay, so 1 tablespoon. Not a typo, it does actually want 1 tablespoon. Good morning, Carissa. Good morning, Anne. Lovely to have you on so early on Sunday. Insert the measuring cup, and now it's going to heat that up for 3 minutes at 37 degrees. The reason for this step, just so you know, is actually to take the chill out of the milk. The yeast can't do its job if the milk is cold. Okay, it needs it to be body temperature or higher to start blooming and activating. So that's why this step is on there. If you were using milk powder and water, you could actually skip this by just putting tap water in. Your tap water is not going to be cold, especially in Brisbane here in summer. If you're living in Melbourne or Tassie, maybe you need to do this step. Your tap water might be cold, or maybe you got filtered water out of a fridge. Okay, so then you do this step because it just brings that temperature up just enough to activate it. Then you're supposed to add your zest. Clearly we're not doing that. And now, here we go. Here we go. Now, the thing to note is if you're not adding the zest flour step, you need to remember, here we go, see this point? It says 400 grams of baker's flour, or a total of 500 grams if you've missed step 1. So we're going to add 500 grams. So I've got baker's flour. P.S. Today is not gluten-free, dairy-free. Just if you guys are wondering, I know most of the stuff I make is gluten and dairy-free. Not today, okay? I will share, as we get closer to Easter, a gluten-free, they call it a gluten-free hot cross bun, but really it's probably, I would call it a gluten-free hot cross bun muffin. Okay, Okay, so it's close, but it's not this. Okay, so if you are gluten-free, there are options for you. But yes, I think the 4-year-old put this on the planner last week, and I went, no, nearly close enough to do it. All right, 500 grams of baker's flour, a pinch of salt. By the way, this recipe is also really good for those of you who will be making your own ricotta and halloumi and things like that, and you've got your whey. Instead of using milk, use your whey. But remember to heat it, because again, that'll be coming out of your fridge cold. 70 grams of butter. See, this cannot be dairy free. Like, you can't, this is a brioche type bun. You can't skip. Sorry, dropping the spoon on the floor. You can't skip it. All right. Now, I am going to shake up this recipe, as you guys know I do best, in a second, because in a moment it's going to ask me for an egg. Now, from my experience other years, by adding the egg, it kind of turns it, and it's supposed to turn it into kind of a brioche, right? That's the concept. Milk, butter, egg in a bread makes it a brioche. But what I find it actually does, for some reason, to me it tastes a bit cakey. It kind of makes it go to like a cake taste and texture a bit more, rather than a bread roll, a sweetened bread roll. So I'm going to skip the egg. You watch that in a second. 50 grams of caster sugar. I'm using my low carb sugar so that I can eat a little bit of it at least. To me, it tastes exactly the same, and I'm cutting that short, as you can see. Skipping the egg. I told you why on that. Okay, so normally you do 1.5 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 1.5 teaspoons of ground nutmeg, half a teaspoon of ground cloves, and off we go. So that equals 3.5 teaspoons of stuff. Now, what I've got, and I do this every year, is at Christmas time, I make the brioche bun. And every year I have leftover brioche spice mix. So this has been hanging around in my pantry waiting to be used for this intent since then. So yeah, if you've made brioche over Christmas and you didn't use all the spice mix, because normally you roll out your not brioche, spice wreath. Sorry, the spice wreath. If you roll that out, and normally you would put this on top, you'd put slivered almonds, you'd put cranberries, and then you'd roll it up like a scroll, and then you make it into the beautiful plaited wreath. If you got leftovers, use this. It's beautiful. Now, excuse me while I grab my spoon off the floor. So I'm going to put 3 teaspoons of that in. It smells divine, and it's just been sitting there in my cupboard. It'll get me another batch out of it, and then I'll have a look and further afield, and I may find in the back of the cupboard last year's one, the one from prior. We'll see how we go. Okay, so skip those spices because I've got that in there. It smells amazing. And now it's going to mix it together. I love the mixing in the Thermomix because it's not like a mix master or something years ago that you were there for half an hour mixing just together in 6 seconds. How cool is that? I was actually thinking about that this morning. I was like, I think sometimes we forget what life was like before a Thermomix. You know, when you had to be stuck in the kitchen with the Mixmaster or the stove or whatever it was, with a Thermomix, turn it, walk away. Okay, but don't walk away on the kneading step. Scrape down the sides with a spatula. That's because it's throwing all that milky stuff up the side, but I didn't bring in a spatula, so I'm just going to leave it. Okay, 100 grams of sultanas, and then it's got currants next. So it's got 170 grams of dried fruit. So you might use like a mixed fruit if you prefer. I just got raisins. The choice thing at our house. I'm going to just go half. I'm not going to give the kids quite that much dried fruit in one go. Okay, now we just put it on to knead for 2 minutes. Now bear with me for the 2 minutes because I just want to show you some tips to proving your dough in a second once we get it out. So to prove your dough really fast, you want to now boil your jug. You want to get a jug of hot water ready to go. You'll want your thermoset. Okay, now these things are worth their weight in gold, and normally you have to have a demo to get a thermoserver. But until the end of today, they come for free with the Thermomix. How cool is that? Now these are really great for keeping things hot or cold for 2 hours, so they're like a thermos. But also things like cooking pasta and rice, incubating yogurt, and proving your dough. So I'm going to show you in a second how we prove our dough. But one thing you do want to do with it is you always want to either pre-chill it or preheat it, depending on which way you're going. So if I was about to take ice cream to our party at the park, I would want to chill this in the freezer so that this is then cold for me to put my frozen fruity drink in and then put the lid on and take it to the park. And I wouldn't worry about taking this with me. my base. I don't know about you guys, but I sometimes for serving, so I would often put bread rolls on this and soup on this, but not for carrying, okay? So I would put this on top, and off I go to the park. Now, say we're doing something hot, like curry night. Before you go and put your curry in it, put a centimetre of boiling water in the bottom, put the lid on. And same with rice and pasta, because you want to get the chill out of the stainless steel. You then tip out your water, quickly put your food in, put the lid on. If you want it to last even longer, here's a tip for you guys. I wonder if you know this. Put it in your insulated shopping reusable bag. You know how you've got those ones that have the silver on the inside that keep your cold stuff cold for longer? Put the whole thermoserver on the base of that. So then you've got, and if you really want to make it last longer, put some ice bricks around it if you're doing cold. And you'll get that cold for like a day. Alright? So there's a little tip for you as well, is as how to actually stretch it, especially on cold, but it works on hot as well, to stretch it longer than the 2 hours. Just a reminder though, doesn't go in an oven, on a stovetop, or in a microwave. There's a pocket of air between the two layers, and if you put it on a stovetop, in a microwave, or in an oven, it can't escape, okay? And it's not going to be a pretty sight. It'll be all sorts of deformed shape at the end, and you'll be pretty sad. So, dishwasher safe, fridge, freezer, that's fine. Even Varomering, you'll know our yogurt goes in here in the Varoma, but not in those other places, okay? I've seen all sorts of things over the last 7 years. So, what I need to do now, I need to preheat it. By the way, my dough's come together. How cool's that? Alright, so I'm just going to put a little, and it's only a centimetre. It's not a huge amount. And actually, I don't need to preheat it. Sorry, what am I saying? I got stuck on the preheat. I'm just going to put, what's that? I don't know. 3 centimetres of water in there. Most of my kettle, because we actually don't use our kettle for anything other than doing this. And I'm just going to put the lid on it for the moment. Okay, I'm just going to put it aside. I'll put it back here where you guys can kind of see it. Alright, now I've got my trusty Thermomat. Now, if you don't have one of these because you haven't had your demo, book me in for a demo. I can do a virtual, I can do a face-to-face. You can have your friends to your house, or they can all zoom in. There's so many ways to get your hands on one of these, and you're getting it discounted. Or if a friend is ready to buy, if a friend is ready to buy, I've had 2 coffees, guys. What's going on? If a friend happens to be ready to buy, you get it for free, and it comes with the oven mat as well. So these are great for protecting your bench when you're doing things like dough work, because then it doesn't make a big mess everywhere. So absolutely love it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a bit of a camera shuffle, excuse me, for 2 seconds while I make space to show you guys. Alright, on the bench. Now my dough is going to be a bit tacky. I should have dashed out and got I'm just still looking for a spatula. 2 seconds, guys. I do need to grab a spatula because I want to incorporate that bit around the side. Sorry, you guys. Okay. So I just want to grab that wet stuff that's stuck up the side, push it all down, and I might actually put that onto knead for a little bit longer because I want to incorporate that. I don't want that to go to waste. So let's put that back on for a second. Get this bit in as well. And the thing is, the beautiful thing about guided recipes is you can just hit the back arrow and make it do that step. And I'm not going to do it the full time. I'm not doing 2 minutes worth of kneading. So let's come back here. I'm just going to give it about 10 seconds. It's just going to pull that leftovers in. Do say hi if you're watching today, by the way. Do you have any plans to cook today? I'd love to know. Just want this to come together. That's looking a bit better. There we go. That was just 15 seconds. So it didn't take long to just incorporate that in. And by the way, anyone watching replays later, do hashtag replay. I'd love to know that you're watching. I'd love to also see your hot cross buns when you make it. Now you can see it's quite a wet dough, okay? Very typical of brioche. We put it on our Thermomat and we turn the little cog, I'm going to just hold it up to show you guys, on the bottom to help the dough release. Okay, it's not so bad on this, it's such a wet crumbly dough, but if it was bread dough, like your normal white loaf, then yes. Now I'm going to show you how to wrap this up, and then I'm going to come back later and show you how to utilize this dough, because there are tips to making a perfect bread roll. If you overhandle your dough, and maybe you might be brave enough in the comments to tell me, have you made rock cakes before? Because I did a demo through the week for somebody who That's been, she hasn't done bread rolls since she's made rock cakes. And you know, hot cross buns are a bread roll, so there is a technique to help you make them light and fluffy and not make them hard. You can see this dough is coming together beautifully. Look at that, guys. Alright, so I'm going to prove this now, and it's not going to take long. It's probably going to prove for 12 minutes, because what I'm going to do, I'm just going to wrap it up. So I love the Thermomix. You see how I don't have dirty hands yet? My favourite thing, you guys know that. I hope you're having a chuckle at me. So, Thermomat, I'll just show you how I do it. So I'm working on my Thermomat lengthways at the moment. So it's coming from front to back on my counter, because that's the space I've got available. So I push it together using the mat, and now I've folded the end in. I'm going to fold my two sides in, okay, and then I'm just going to fold it over. Don't go too tight on the dough, because it's going to want to expand and it'll just blast out the corners at you. So give it a little bit of space when you fold it on this fold, and it just gives it, I don't know if you guys can see there, but can you see how there's a bit of space here and here and here and here? So that means it's going to grow into that space. Now the reason we do this, oh, by the way, it goes up here and it just sits on the lid of the thermoserver. Done. How cool is that? So that thermoserver has that hot water in it. Okay, and it's just proving on top of that. Perfect for if you've got your aircon on, or maybe you're in Tassie or Melbourne and it's cold, or it's an overcast day and there's no sunny spots to put it. All right. Now the reason we prove dough, the science behind it is that we actually prove it to relax the gluten. So when it's kneaded in there, the gluten's got really tense. It's like going and doing a workout and your muscles get all tense and sore and you get the stress headache and all that sort of stuff, right? So what happens here in this 15 minutes is the gluten relaxes. And once it's relaxed, we can then utilize it. So we could roll it out into pizzas, and you'll notice then when you do roll it out into pizzas, then it doesn't retract back to you. If it's not proven properly, it'll retract. You'll roll it out and it'll come back, and you'll roll it out and it'll come back, because the gluten is still tense. It needs to actually relax so that you can then shape it into beautiful bread rolls, or you can roll it out into pizzas, or you can make scrolls, or whatever you want to do with it. Now, I am going to, over the time between now and Easter, show you some ways to make this even faster. I mean, this is going to be pretty quick, but there's ways where you can even get out of the Thermomix, make your bread rolls, prove them and put them in the oven, and shorten the time even further again. But for today, I'm going to show you this process. Then there'll be some gluten-free ones along the way. There'll be another way to shorten your bread roll recipe. So do come back later. Give me about 15-20 minutes, and I will come back. I'm going to show you how to shape them, where they're going to prove them, or put them in the oven, and I'll take some beautiful photos at the end to show you what it's all like. Hey Tracy, lovely to see you on today. Hey Haley, lovely to have you on today. Oh, chocolate mud cake. Yes, Tracy. The most favourite chocolate mud cake, or chocolate cake that's on Cookie Dough is actually your torta caprese. So beautiful cake. It's very mud cake like. And absolutely amazing. I haven't had it in years because I have no self-control, but let me tell you, simple but absolutely decadent. You will, I don't know if you've made it before, but give that a go. So it's called torta caprese. It's a classic. It's been around for a really long time. So, and yes, Haley, please do try the hot cross buns for Easter, now that you've seen how to make the dough. But come back in about 20 minutes time, watch how I shape them, because that is the trick to not making rock cakes, okay? And I'll see you soon, guys. Please make sure you tell your friends and family about the free 2.6 litre thermoserver offer that ends this afternoon. If they need help, by all means reach out. I'd love to help them get a Thermomix on their bench and get started getting the most out of their Thermomix sooner. And otherwise, guys, have a fantastic day. If I don't get to see you soon, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.